Hello, welcome back to Doing Bart Things, and in another decidedly low rent production, coming live from my kitchen, I want to talk about the release of the AMD RX 7900 GRE edition. So really, this is a little bit of a frustrating thing. So this GPU is a cut down 7900 XT, basically. If I scroll down, and you can see the starting price. If I scroll down, you can see some of the stats. It's got 16 gigs of VRAM, 256 bus, which is fine. It has 80 compute units for 5120 stream processors. So what's the deal? Well, it looks like this is only going to be a non-US launch, which is frustrating because I think at that price, if they $649, maybe eventually, like if they don't sell well, go to about $599. This is not a bad deal for a card. It's going to be fairly. It's going to be a little bit more power efficient than the outgoing like 6800 XT. It really should be a 7800 XT is what it should be. That's what this card should be. And at that price, it's not bad. If we look at some of the posted benches, you can see here, like it readily beats a 4070 in rasterized performance. Readily. And the 4070 is $699, memory serves. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, but that'd be what it'd be competing with, and it's going to be a better card than that, for sure. Like it kind of just doesn't matter, you know. The 7900 XT was already beating the 4070. The 7900 is just a little bit cut down to that, and so it's performing perfectly well against a 4070. And it's a little bit better on power. It's not probably as good on power as the 4070 is, but it performs better. Due to the clock speeds being a bit lower, which there may be some overclock potential there on a good yield, this can be a really good value card, especially the fact that it's not 8,400 foot long. It still has 16 gigs of VRAM, which is good. I think that's kind of the sweet spot where you want to be future proof. You can see some AIB partner cards are not just ginormous, which is good. If we look at the stats here, you can see where it kind of slots in below your other N31 Navi 31 offerings, right? Really good middle ground card, like a really good way to use those slightly not quite all the way good dies. And so if they only release this and they don't bring it to the US, I think that would be a massive mistake. I think people are looking for deals. They're looking for a good card at a good solid value. And I think that this card might be that value. And I think they really need to bring it to the US. I think the clock speeds, again, I am very confident that with a good cooler, and if the board partners allow this power target to be turned up a bit, you know, they go to 280 watts, maybe 300 watts, I think you'll see this clock speed go boom, right up, you know, to 2500 megahertz probably, which would represent a decent gain over whatever the stock configuration is with this 1880 and 2245. And I think that they'd be able to do that on a much more reasonable size card and cooler than what is currently, you know, some of your 7900 XTs and 7900 XTXs get really large, and I think that wouldn't be the case here. because of the bus size, I don't think it poses a super threat to a 7900 XT. So I think that would be fine. I think it just comes down to, this would represent, like, this is probably a card I would buy for like a kind of a middle of the range system, that I want to do 1440p mainly, maybe some 4K gaming, but like I would probably want this for a 1440p would be perfect. High res 1440p in some games, it would be ideal. Yeah, so like I said, I really hope they reconsider and bring this more to the US, because I think this is a mistake not bringing it to the US. This is the I talked about in the last video where they figured out how to put a N31 chip onto an N32 package, and what that means is basically the package size. This is not as big of a full out package to allow for that entire 24 gigs of VRAM, and as a result, the connections are kind of cut down because of the size of the substrate here, I believe is the right word. And so they can get the middle chip to the right size. Like they could use a full N31 on here if they wanted to, which is pretty cool. But they can't use the associated MCDs. These are dummies because they don't have enough connection. So they can only go up to about 16 gigs of VRAM, which limits your bus to 256. But that's what they did. And they even put more CUs in here than I thought they would at the 80 compute units. That's more than I anticipated. So that's pretty decent, honestly. And as you can see here, at least it matches and beats a 4070 all the way around. The 4070 is $700. I can't remember. I'd have to go look it up. But anyway, it's a good value if it's priced appropriately. And I think some people in this market would go about picking up this card to save a few bucks and still kind of get in that range of performance, because it is basically like a 6900 XT, 6950 XT performance per se, but it's not as power hungry. And I think that's a good spot. That's not bad at all if you price it right. I just don't understand why you would come out with this product and not release it in the US. I know that maybe it feels like people are turned off by the GPU market right now because they've had to put some significant discounts on some of the upper end GPUs in order to get them to sell. But I think part of that is just the view and perception of how, especially NVIDIA, has just pushed the limits of what is considered a good value. Like, again, $1,600 for a 4090, that's the top end now. So they stretched out what the top end was, and then they slotted in the various other 40 series. So expensive. A 4080 for $1,200. I mean, it's just, people are just tired of that. This isn't quite so bad. I think it would work out if they did it right. $649, a little more than I expected. I think at $600, you'd probably be spot on with this. But you could sell some of these, and maybe it's just a limited production run. Maybe that's why they're not releasing it to the US. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. The 7800 non-XT and the 7700 non-XT are still in the works to be released. It sounds like, I think the latest I've heard is they'll be announced at Gamescom, which is not that far away. And when they get released, I think we'll probably see kind of where they sit, but I don't think they're going to be all that much better. You know, your 7800 maybe will be a little bit cheaper, probably $500, but it'll be based on the N32 die, which is it's not going to have as many compute units as this, probably like 20 less, as a matter of fact. So it's going to be significantly cut down. So I'll have to see how that plays out. Anyway, that was it. I just want to make a quick video talking about this GPU, and I'm pushing. I really hope that maybe AMD reconsiders bringing this GPU as a mainstay here, because I think if they release this, I think maybe it wouldn't sell totally like gangbusters, but I think it would turn around some of their market share. Like, I think some people would opt for this level of GPU performance and price to try and save a couple of bucks to get something in that with that N31 chip, basically, or that level of performance. So anyway, that's it, guys. Y'all have a great rest of your Sunday, and I'm gonna make a video, record something this next week. I just got my hands on Baldur's Gate 3, so I'm sort of excited to take a look at that and see what that's like. And I still have some work to do to get to a point where I can do a rig transplant. Is kind of currently still my plan to move my current setup into the Fractal Define 7 Compact, if I remember the name of that case completely. I just haven't decided yet on all the details. You know, if I want to do something new, I still think I'm probably going to stick with what I got and just transfer over and wait a while before I drop the money down on any new motherboard CPU kind of combos. So I'm just sort of waiting and seeing, but I may still yet want to drop this rig into that other case and you know, play with it there. It's a little bit smaller case, and I've got these fancy Nancy do wow, that was unexpected for me to say. Lee and Lee P28 fans that are supposed to be pretty high performance, and so we can put them to the test with that not completely optimal case layout and see how they do. Guys, if you listen to my ramblings, do a like and subscribe, or not. Either way, I really appreciate it. Have a great one.